Technical difficulties, people. Hey, but we're still here. We're here. Welcome. I say it again. Welcome to Bazutinabad. Welcome to Bazutinabad. Let's get Sisa straight on, right? Hi. Hey, Sisa.
How you doing, boy?
Hey. Where's
Apologies, man. We need to catch up on technology, man. We need to catch up on technology.
Hey,
Apologies for the delay. Apologies for the delay.
No.
Bonsoir, bonsoir, ça va?
Oh, you don't get the right, right.
Yeah, sorry, let me just get it steady.
Yeah, get it steady.
Yeah, man, I hope you're good. I hope you're good. I hope you're good in France. We are outstanding ourselves in South Africa. I know you're enjoying summer that side, so we got
It
winter.
is hot.
So
It is hot. That's what I'm
yeah,
gonna say.
yeah,
She's like, yeah, she is.
yeah, yeah. Nah, man. Let me just clear my screen. There you go.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How you doing?
Man? It's been a minute.
It's been a minute. A lot of people don't know our history, hey? They don't know our history.
No. Do you want to clarify it or should I do it?
No, I'll let you do it.
No. So
you the host.
Usisa and I go a long way back because Usisa is actually my uncle. So long story short, Usisa is my uncle, so that's why. How have you been?
No, man, I'm super. I'm Shana.
Yeah,
I'm
just
super.
let you
I'm excellent.
Introduce yourself. Ngathini amagama ambalwa. Ungakhuluma into usisa udume ngani and
yeah. Okay. Formal inductions.
Yeah.
Sisa Majola, Sisa Majola. I'm a South Coast kid. I'm currently, in terms of work-wise, I'm currently head of marketing and communications with Chippa United, who campaign in the DSTV Premiership. Yeah, so I come from a sporting background. I come from a sporting family. People that don't know is that you and I, we're very sporty.
We'll get to that. Don't worry.
Yeah.
We'll get to that. I just wanted you to talk me through your upbringing, man. South Coast, Nami South Coast.
Yeah.
Just talk me through that. How was it like for you growing up in the South Coast, then moving on education-wise and going from South Coast to DUT and all of that?
Yeah. Nah, man, South Coast was beautiful. For those who don't know, I was born in Lima. I was born in Outrox, Ubodesa.
I was we're representing right now.
I'm representing right now. Yeah, and to give people a bit of background with our family, your maternal family.
Yeah.
Born and bred on the Lima side, on the South Coast side, but our family is actually from Indautro Uqumbu, in the Eastern Cape.
Mm-hmm.
We're from Uqumbu in the Eastern Cape. And then our brain fox obviously just moved down the coast a bit. I suppose I started the migration process slightly earlier. And you and I were born on the South Coast. Well, you next door to each other.
Yeah.
So everything of mine is there. I mean, it's very humble background. It's a village. But it probably the best lessons that you can get in life are the lessons that I got growing up. I mean, I pretty much grew up. I mean, you're slightly younger than me, but we pretty much grew up, under. I mean, I remember us growing up. It was a lot of political tension during our time. I think a lot of people. I mean, if I could relay stories of the political things that used to happen back in the day, I promise you, to these 2000s, they'll probably think we were discussing a bit of drama. It wasn't a movie, but I mean thing is the background that we had. It gave us pretty much the platform that made us. I was fortunate enough to have parents and to have a background. You and I, we had a family that was very hard on education. That was very hard on respect.
Always.
Yeah. So, I'm very proud of my background. I'm very proud of home. I still go home. For those that don't know, I still go home for as much as I possibly can. Because to me, home is.
I don't know what happened.
Yeah, and
Yeah, definitely. Home is where the heart has always been. Yeah, well, I don't know what's happening. I think I've lost you there. Hello, you still there? Ah, yabona technical difficulties lawa esiba nawo la. Angisazi. Let me try getting back. Sorry for the technical difficulties. We were just going down memory lane like no one else. Going down memory lane, talking about family, how family is so important. Hopefully, he's coming back. So weird. Talk about family, and I'm actually listening to Kabelula on the background. For as long as I pay for more, take it back. Please be patient with me. I'm trying to work this thing. I don't know what is happening. Alele. Beng sabafusa. Beng sabafusa. Balele. Balele.
Yeah.
Hey, I don't know what happened
Apologies
there.
about that cut. Apologies about that. Yeah. I think we had a power failure earlier on.
Oh, load
As you,
shedding.
as you know, in South
Copper fail.
Africa.
Copper fail. Load shedding. Load shedding. Say
Hey
what
man,
it is.
okay. Can we just save our country here and not expose us?
Load shedding.
Yeah, we had a bit of load shedding. I think networks are going to be problematic, but I got you back.
Nah, that's good. That's good. You talked about how family is so big on sport. That's when I want to ask you about your love and origin for the love of the sport. When did you know that you actually into sports? I know your dad. My grandfather was really big in sports.
Yeah,
He was big in sport.
yeah, yeah. And it's funny because my dad's first love was rugby.
I know.
You
I
know,
know.
and his first love was rugby because I remember waking up. I used to wake up. We used to wake up in the morning. Back in the day, rugby wise, we used to have like the long before it was Super Rugby. We used to have the Super. We used to call it the Super Eights, if I'm correct, around that time.
It went from Super
Um,
8 to Super 12.
yes. Was it Super Sixes or Super Eights? But anyway, I remember back in the early '90s, we used to wake up early in the morning. We used to watch a bit of Transvaal and then play against Australians and New Zealanders.
Yeah.
Front row pinner. That's why I actually got my first taste of rugby. Was waking up those early mornings, watching a bit of rugby with him, watching a bit of boxing. With me, for some reason, my bag has always been cricket. I don't know how it happened. Because I mean, obviously, growing up in a traditional African area in a village,
Mm-hmm.
everybody's going to be playing football. Not to say I didn't play football, but my first love was always cricket. You know,
Why was that?
um,
Why
um,
is that though?
I have no idea. I have no idea as to why cricket was such a bigger priority in my life, and it still is a bigger priority in my life. I really love my cricket. I still love watching my cricket. Growing up, I actually thought I had a chance of making cricket a career.
Mm-hmm.
Something which obviously didn't happen. But I was fortunate enough. I mean, I rubbed shoulders with some of the guys when they were younger. I've been fortunate enough to be around, some of the most prominent cricketers from back in the day. Even some of the youngsters that come up today. I mean, your Keshav Maharajas, your Kaya Zondis, your Kaya
Hmm.
Zondos, and your David Millers. I mean, those are lighties that I pretty much got to know while they were still academy. When I was trying to make my way in, just doing a bit of this and that under KZN cricket. So cricket has always been a fascination. I don't know. There's also something about the cricket discipline that I've always kind of carried. So
Yeah.
I mean, it's a discipline that I've carried in life. It's a discipline that I've carried across the areas that I've worked in. Because I suppose sports does give you that bit of discipline.
That discipline there.
Yeah. I suppose I don't know. We come from a cricket. I suppose we come from a sporting background, both of us.
Like
You're a rugby person yourself. You
I was,
know.
but the thing is, for me, I was never a rugby person. My
Yeah,
dad, as you know, my dad was big football, the footballer. There was a
Kaiser Chiefs family.
Yeah, Kaiser Chiefs family, but my dad was a footballer
Yeah,
around, and everyone knew my dad as the best goalkeeper.
yeah,
You remember?
yeah,
So
yeah,
before I even started playing rugby, I picked up rugby at a very, very late age.
yeah,
For me, it was soccer, football, all the
yeah.
way.
I think that's where he picked up his nickname is Omahala. So
Yeah, you
that's what
see.
they called him. I think that's where he picked up his nickname from. There was a player from Witbank Black Aces back in the day. I remember his full name, but he was nicknamed Omahala. I
Yeah,
think that's where he got that
that's why I
from.
got that.
Yeah,
You see.
absolutely, absolutely.
So like I said, we both come from a big uh, sporting background. Yeah, early on.
Yeah, yeah,
These days, I see you rubbing shoulders with some of the icons that I used to watch. I've seen rubbing shoulders with Abu Prime Baloyo Spider-Man. Spider-Man was the man back in the days. I see when I'm thinking Rothman's Cup, I'm thinking David
yeah,
Tlale, Okpara, Spider-Man. Yabo bonke labo
yeah,
bantu.
yeah,
Ochuku, Rafael
yeah,
Chuku, all of these. And these days, I see you rubbing shoulders with all these guys. And I just want to find out, for you, these are people that you also grew up watching. How does it make you feel now that you're at a level where you can rub shoulders with them, or Coach Mashaba? And well, I've seen all these. I can go on with the list of people that I've seen you rub
yeah,
shoulders with.
yeah,
You've chilled with the captain. I mean, the captain of Springboks. We'll see. You've chilled
yeah,
that or non-vet. Yeah, well,
yeah, yeah.
obviously, I
And a
think it
big
comes
shout
with the
out to that.
job.
I see George Chikova, probably one of the best goalkeepers that we've had from Zimbabwe, playing in
Yeah.
the Premier Soccer League. I see he's just logged in
Oh,
himself. Shout out to you,
it's
George,
from Zimbabwe.
and welcome in. I think what you've just said is just valid. I mean,
Is he from
I
Zimbabwe?
remember, I remember at some point. I remember at some point asking myself the very same question. Back, and I was like, how does a boy from a little known South Coast. If people don't know South Coast is pretty much, I mean, it's not an island because it's not surrounded, by
Yeah,
water or anything, but it's a very islandy place that, we're in between. I mean, we're in between pretty much that the Durban, and we're in between that. Yeah, I mean, we're sandwiched by Durban and the Eastern Cape. How does a boy from the South Coast, get to be in the positions that he's in? And it's all blessings. I never thought that, a person, I mean, Dr. Kumalo, for instance,
yeah, I
excuse
saw
me.
that. You see, I didn't want
Yeah,
to
I mean,
name drop. I
Dr.
didn't want to
Kumalo,
name drop. There's so many people that I'm
yeah, I
like,
mean, Dr.
this,
Kumalo,
this, this,
Dr. Kumalo was a person. By the way, I used to be a Chiefs supporter myself back in the day. I love Kaiser Chiefs, but and my favorite player was Dr. Kumalo. And for some reason, you can ask yourself, how does a person that I used to idolize so much growing up, and he is a person that I can consider a friend. I mean, I've been fortunate enough to have made friends, just moving around the sporting field. I've pretty much just worked with anything that's pertaining to anything sporting in this country.
yeah,
Your football, your rugby, your crickets, and whatnots. I've been fortunate enough to have been placed in that position. I mean, it's all blessings, man. I think it's blessings, it's dedication to my craft, it's dedication, to what I love to do. I love to see sports prosper.
Yeah.
And yeah, sometimes I do have those feelings. Sometimes I do wake up on certain days and ask myself, how does it happen that I can be rubbing shoulders with people, that are considered idols by a lot of people,
Idols by a
and
lot of people.
yeah. I mean, it's all up to God, man. It's all up to
Yeah.
God. But growing up, I always knew that I wanted to make a success of sports.
Hmm.
If I wasn't going to be a player, I knew I was going to be in sports business.
Yeah.
Um, Somehow, some way, it was always going to happen. I pretty much knew, and I think my dad knew that I was not going to be a doctor. I was not going to be a
Yeah.
lawyer. I mean, we've got a lawyer in the family already. I was not going to be a lawyer. I'm not going to be anything else but that. I'm going to be in the sporting industry, and that's me. That's where I belong. And by the grace of God, I can trace it back to the very first person that actually introduced me to, I suppose I can call it, the professional aspect of sports.
Hmm.
It's a guy called Neil Manthorpe, probably one of the best known journalists in the country, based out
Yeah.
in Cape Town. I mean, the first flight that I ever took, that man paid for. And he took me under his wing. I was working for MWP Media down in Cape Town. I was working
Yeah.
in the Durban office, and I mean, he gave me an opportunity. You know, I came from being a person who, I was a junior writer, and now here I was. Within my first few weeks, I was writing articles for SuperSport. I was writing articles for ESPN Crick Info. I mean, to me, I looked at that as a blessing, and then I
You know,
suppose I never looked back from that.
you know what the funny thing about that is, uh, my mom always followed you. So my mom
Yeah,
would be like, "Did you see Uju Umla Upalin? Oh, did you
yeah,
see that he was on TV?" I'm like,
yeah.
I didn't see because I was always busy. But whenever I got a chance, I'd see. And talking about your craft, uh, what are some of the challenges that we might not know about your job? What are some of the challenges that you've had to overcome?
Shout out to Sandy Mangoba. He's locked in. Him and I went to the same varsity actually. Went to Durban, and my boy is doing fantastic things at SuperSport. Musa Wilankulu as well. Uh, my boy from Bizana Pondo Chiefs. Hard
Yeah,
luck with your football season,
yeah.
but I know everything is going to prosper when heading forward. Um, I've just lost track of your question though slightly.
I see
I was
that.
just looking at
No,
people just slightly.
I'll say it again. I was
Yeah.
just saying, talking about your craft. What are some of the challenges that you've come across and had to overcome within your domain?
I mean, my main craft is media. My main craft is journalism.
Yeah.
And the most important aspect of journalism is credibility.
Hmm.
I mean, you're nothing without credibility in the field of media and the field of journalism. Um, and creating or making or eventually working on that credibility it's not something that can happen overnight. I mean, that is years and years of work. That is years and years of making your name, of remaining professional and respecting, because ultimately, whether we like it or not, anything that we do, um, technically, whether it's journalism, in fact, with pretty much every other sector, is you have to think of the fact that it's not about you. You're actually serving the community, you're serving the people first.
Yeah.
Not everything is about me. And for that to happen, you need trust, it's credibility. There's thousands and thousands of journalists in this country. And the second part is you have to work hard. You've got to work hard. You've got to, how do you establish yourself with those thousands and thousands of other writers and journalists that are in that sector? Um, you've got to work hard. So I'll just put it down to hard work. Anything that you do, anything that you look at coming across, it's hard work. You've got to work hard. It's passion. You've got to be passionate about your profession. You've got to respect your profession. You've got to respect the people that you're serving. You've got to love what you do. And I love what I do. I love dealing with people because even though I've crossed over pretty much from the media and journalism space
Mm-hmm.
into corporate communications, ultimately I'm still dealing with people. You know, people's voices are important. I think it's something that a lot of sectors, it's something that a lot of sectors would have probably forgotten.
Yeah.
I kind of look at, sometimes we've got to be open as well. You kind of look at our public sector, kind of look at our governmental structures. What's happening with our governmental structures? Have we forgotten the basics of listening to people? Have we forgotten the basics of us that we have to serve people? You
Mm-hmm.
know, us, you're nothing without respect, and you're nothing with not wanting to be professional. You're nothing if you do not respect your community, if you don't respect the people that you serve. And I suppose it's just like with our government. You know, and I've got to be open. We've all got to be critical. I mean,
Yeah.
the minute they do a self introspection about themselves, and they'll remember that, ultimately what's happening now is that they've actually forgotten their main roles. Their main roles is to serve the people, to serve the community. And once you forget that, you lose your credibility, you lose your value, and people just don't trust anything that you say and do. And that's what it's about.
And that's a sad reality. Uh, Obviously, I haven't lived back home for about 5-6 years now, but it's something that I've seen while I was there, and it's sad. It's really really sad that people, they don't understand that they're losing their credibility.
I mean, when we grew up, if you kind of look at the caliber of people that we had growing up, people that, I mean, I'm talking even from a local perspective, people, our direct leaders in our communities. I
Yeah.
mean, those were leaders, those were people that wanted to serve the community first. I suppose the one element that we've lost as people is the element of Ubuntu, is the element of wanting to serve. I think right now the focus is pretty much being on self-serving.
Hmm.
Which is where we've lost the plot. You kind of hope that with the current administration that things will change. It's not gonna. I mean, unfortunately, we've gone through a number of years. I mean, close to over a decade of where things just went wrong, and I mean, once that culture is wrong, and you've got a culture of corruption, you've got a culture of anything wrong. I mean, that doesn't just go through to the public sector; it goes through with any sector, with any organization.
Hmm.
If that element is wrong, if that culture is wrong, then nothing is ever going to prosper. Every organization has got to have the correct culture, um, in order for it to prosper. But ultimately, the main aim or the main objective is to serve our people. And
You see,
sometimes I think that's something that we tend to forget.
you see that I think that links perfectly with my next question to you, because I was like, what are your thoughts on sports within the country right now, and where it's headed, and where you'd love it to head?
I mean, if you kind of look at, I mean, I'm going to go across
Yeah,
all
yeah. That's why I
sports.
said that's I didn't I
Yeah,
didn't put I didn't say a specific
yeah, yeah.
code, but sports in general.
Sports in general. I mean, if you kind of look at our history, I mean, as a country, we were readmitted back into the international fold in 1992.
Hmm.
And let's have a look at the achievements that we've achieved since then. I mean, Bafana, football-wise, Bafana won the AFCON in um, 96. The Springboks won the Rugby World Cup in 95, 2007, and again last year. Um, one of the Personally, I think one of the things that we do not realize, and it's funny, the one person that always emphasized this, I didn't see it up until I got into this sector, I suppose,
Yeah,
as Nelson Mandela. I mean, the way Nelson Mandela, um, I mean, the way he used to emphasize the importance of sports and the importance of how it can actually unite us as a country. I mean, look,
yeah,
let's be realistic. We in a country that has got so many diverse beliefs, so many diverse people,
hmm,
races, ethnic beliefs, um, and the one thing that seems to certainly unite us is sports. I've never seen us as united as we have been every time our national team plays. And the prosperity of our national team is absolutely important. I mean, when I say that, let me go back to 96. Let me go back to 95, first of all, the World Cup, the Rugby World Cup. That's probably the one aspect that united us as a country post 1994
Yeah.
and the democratic 1994. I'll go back to rugby again last year with all of the troubles that we've got as a country. If you kind of look at how proud South Africans were with our achievements with the Rugby World Cup. Not last in 2019, apologies. I
2019.
suppose 2020 is a forgotten year. It's a
Yeah.
year that everybody would like to forget for obvious reasons.
Yep.
Yeah, and you kind of look at how the country reacts every time Bafana doesn't do well. I mean, football has gone absolutely backwards in this country. And unfortunately, reasons for that go back to what I'd mentioned earlier. We've just forgotten our roles. We've forgotten our roles in our community, forgotten our roles in this country in terms of that. I think pretty much the problems are right there at the top.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to delve in too much into that, but the problems are right there at the top. And eventually, once we fix the problems and the rot at the top, that's when things are going to prosper with the national team. And who knows, we may have a national team that's got a commercial a presence, you know, like the All Blacks, man. You know what I mean? That's got the same brand presence like the All Blacks, because
Yeah.
because people love Bafana Bafana.
No, 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 trust
At the
me,
same
trust
thing with
me.
the Pro Team.
The thing is, people love Bafana Bafana. Even though we know that it hasn't been going well these past couple of years, but we still stand by Bafana Bafana.
But that's it. That's it.
Whether
I
we
mean,
know, thing is, we know that it's gonna be a tough game. We might get a draw, or we might lose, or we know we still tune in to watch.
yeah, yeah. Somehow, I suppose at some point in the 90s or the late 90s, we kind of lost the plot. You know, we had systems and philosophies that worked. And I suppose we tried to be too smart and we changed the systems, we changed the culture that worked and tried to implement other things. And right now we've got absolutely no culture. You know, one of the things that I've always said and I've always emphasized, I mean, I kind of look at one of the things that I kind of respect with SA Rugby as well is just how they seem to have to maintain the whole tradition element with rugby. Look at the Springboks. I mean, people, you know, a normal person might not know the whole thing that's behind being awarded a cap.
Mm-hmm.
No, you would know that you're a rugby person, you know, being awarded the actual physical cap.
Yeah.
You know, people don't actually understand the whole thing behind that and why it's so important
That
with the rugby structures. You know, just the whole thing of being capped. The whole thing of wearing a blazer. You do not wear that blazer until you walk on the pitch. You walk out to the field and you become a Springbok. You know what I mean? You know, how come we do not have a similar culture within our football sector? You know, how can I find it important to play for Bafana Bafana when I actually don't know what I'm playing for? What am I playing for? Why is it important for me to play for Bafana Bafana? You know, and you kind of ask yourself, what is the motivation behind players now? Is it money? You know, what are we doing wrong? But everything is wrong administratively, I believe, and it's something that we probably have to fix. It's not gonna be a 5-year thing. You know, it's gonna take some time. But ultimately, the whole culture's got to change, and I believe we've got an opportunity of changing things. I do not believe this whole logic of us not having talent.
no, no, no,
But
no,
point
no.
of the matter is,
Uh,
yeah,
I can say South Africa has got talent. It's
yeah,
just that I don't know how it's people are being coached. I can't say
yeah,
much about football because I'm not a football person. I enjoy watching football, but I'm not there. Like you're talking
yeah,
about the history about getting a cap, getting blazer. I can tell you from a rugby perspective, that is one of the greatest honor. Whether I mean, even if it's not a professional team, knowing that you're going to be capped or getting a blazer or getting
yeah.
recognition for that,
Even at school
it
level,
is
yeah,
amazing. It's the
yeah,
best feeling ever. You understand what I'm saying? So I don't know what the history in the football code is like. So I can't really speak for that, but I know for a fact that as a sporting person, as an athlete, every single athlete dreams of representing their country or
Yeah,
representing their province,
yeah,
right?
yeah,
And I
yeah,
know for them that is something amazing. Obviously, at
yeah,
the end of the day, a lot of people get money out of it.
yeah,
Obviously, when you're playing professionally, at the end of the day, you have to chase the bag. They say secure the bag. Yes, that's you working on your craft.
mm,
You need to
mm,
work on your craft.
mm. No, I'm in agreement with that. I mean, I love the whole fact of, from what you're taking from rugby, get you as a rugby person, the whole blazer thing. Because even in school, I suppose with you seeing, just getting, I suppose it's colors, isn't it, at school?
I
But
will
in
tell.
any case, but just getting
I'm
those
gonna make an
colors.
example with me at school.
Yeah,
At school, uh, wearing a shape. I went to Poughkeepsie High School. Wearing that first team jacket, people look at you. They looked at you differently.
yeah.
They look at you. Oh snap! He's in the
You're
first
getting
team.
more girls.
Me coming into Poughkeepsie High School and
Yeah,
seeing the seniors and the people that were in the first team, we skilled for
yeah.
them. And I was like, that is where I want to be in the next 3 years. I want to be like them.
And
That was one hell of an achievement because in
yeah,
every school, every first team rugby team, whenever there's sports day on a Saturday, the first team,
Sadie.
yeah, whatever it's Sadies or anything, when the first team rugby team plays, all the other codes are finished. Everyone has to come and watch the rugby team.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
You
I
see?
mean, you already talk about school sports. I mean, school sports it's something that virtually does not exist within the South African sectors right now, and something that I find amazing. When you kind of look at all of the talent, all of the names that we've brought up, your Jomo Sonos,
Yeah.
um, your Nselengwes, your Dr. Kumaras. I mean, they came from school sports. I
Yep.
mean, now it's a sector that virtually does not exist, um, within football. I mean, I've always had a belief. My personal belief is the way that we structured. I mean, we're not too different to how America sports does things. In terms of the whole makeup from this whole schooling and or tertiary thing to
Mm-hmm.
professional sports. And I believe that we should be using a similar model to that because that's been our success. I
I
mean,
think
if you look at your cricket and rugby, you get your players from school rugby. You get your cricketers from school cricket, and they progress all the way to to franchise level and eventually to national teams. We don't have that. We don't have that in
no, but
football.
I feel as if varsity sport has is bringing in
Plays a
that
role.
culture
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
yeah,
get your football, you got your cricket, you got your
yeah, yeah,
netball,
yeah,
you get your athletics, you got your rugby, obviously. So I think with the varsity sport thing,
yeah,
it's getting there.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So
Shout out to Speech over
here's another
Steve Brendan.
question I have for you.
Yeah, yeah.
Who's your most favorite sporting icon?
Good question. Ooh, good question. Um, ooh,
Could be
it's a tough.
that's a tough one. You have a lot.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, with your permissions, I can probably list a few. I can list a few.
List three.
Um, Firstly, Muhammad Ali, for
Okay.
obvious reasons, the
Obvious
greatest of all,
reasons.
the greatest of all time. I mean,
Yeah.
that guy's determination to get to the levels that he got to was absolutely amazing. Um, Second one is a friend of mine now, Dr. Kumar,
Yeah.
probably the greatest player of all time, arguably the greatest player in all time in my books.
16-3.
I think we're definitely robbed of that talent. You kind of look at a player like that, and you kind of look at what's happening overseas with the Messis and your Ronaldos, and we kind of look at the talent that we've had in the past. I mean, Dr. Kumalo would be a sensation in this day and era.
Yeah,
Um, the third one is, I have to say, Sachin Tendulkar, the
that
great
man, that
Indian,
man, that
the
man was
great,
a
yeah,
beast.
the legend. I mean, that guy virtually carried. I mean, I'm not even talking India. I mean, India has got a population of 1 billion people, and probably every person in India is a cricketer. Could you just imagine the intense pressure that person had to go through on a day-to-day basis? You know,
I know.
him just getting on the field, um, the expectations are so high for him to perform, and he performed. I mean, he's probably one of the, if I'm correct, he's probably got one of the most, I believe he's got pretty much combined the most runs across international cricket. I kind of look at him. I was fortunate enough to actually meet him. I got to be in the same change room as him, when I was still in varsity, when I was doing a bit of, I was a
Yeah,
golfer at Kingsmead. So I've been fortunate enough to have been in the same dressing room as the legend, as a living legend himself. I mean, opportunities that not too many people can ever get. But yeah. I think if I had to list three, it's definitely those three gentlemen. I think purely for their talent and also for what they contributed to their respective sports, most definitely.
that's good. That's good. Those are great people too. I've got two last questions for you because we're a bit short on time. So with
Yeah.
these two questions, I just want a few words. So the first one is, what's the greatest lesson that you have learned in life thus far?
Being humble.
That's very important,
Because life,
actually.
because life, yeah, being humble. Because life also can humble you. You know,
And
I've in this sector, I've been in this sector for a minute, and I've gone through the highest high, and I've gone through the lowest low. And I suppose one of the things, like I said, I mean, I'll go back to how we started things off. I'm fortunate enough to come from a family that always emphasized education, that always emphasized
mhm.
respect for the next person. Um, but ultimately, I mean, life, we all go through life, and we all go through humbling experiences in life. Um, and getting up from those experiences. I've certainly been through my challenges with this sector. I mean, a lot of people will tell you that every day is a challenge.
Yeah,
And you get through certain periods that are much more challenging than normal days. Um, I suppose the most important thing to have in life and the most important thing to do is just to be humble. Because life itself can humble you,
it can humble
you
you
know?
very,
Yeah.
very quickly.
Yeah. My motto in life is, I always say that if it moves, you can take it. I don't believe in anything being impossible in life. I believe that everything is highly possible. There's nothing that's impossible. It doesn't matter, regardless of your background, regardless of where you come from. As long as you dedicate yourself to your craft, as long as you dedicate yourself to your targets, to your goals, you always got to reach it. I believe. Um, I mean, there's no road that's easy. We all come from dirty roads.
Yep.
so, but ultimately, um, I suppose even when you do get to the top, you still have to be humble.
Always,
You know,
always. So
that's
my
it.
final question is, what's the best advice that you've ever received, and an advice that you still live by till this day?
Keep it simple.
Keep it
To
simple.
keep it simple. Yeah, I think they used to call it the KISS method back in the day.
Yeah.
Um, to keep things as uh, going into the field of journalism first. The biggest lesson that I pretty much picked up from Neil Menthorpe was to keep things simple. Sometimes you do not have I read a lot of. I'm obviously going to be mindful of how I criticize.
Yeah.
um, I'm just using an example. I read a whole lot of stuff these days, um, and you kind of ask yourself, when you, as soon as you read that a particular article, it's like, I mean, who is that person writing that article for? You know, um, the main objective with media and journalism, for instance, is to keep things simple. Is to try and relay the information in its most simplest form, if I can put it like that. And also just in life, just in general, keep things simple. Don't complicate things with unnecessary things. Don't complicate your life, and complicate your craft with unnecessary things. Don't overdo things. Keep it simple. Stick to the basics. Um, yeah, stick to the basics, and you'll get there.
I you've said it all. I will end it on that, man. We'll end it on that. Listen, thank you very much for
Hey
actually
man, I
coming
thought you were
through.
gonna ask me about. I thought you were gonna ask me about my music. My
No, no,
music
no, no,
touch.
no, no. No,
Yeah.
I wanted to know. I wanted to know about your craft. That's why. I wanted to know about you and your craft. And you've
Yeah.
actually went really deep into it and explained everything and
I
talked
hope I
about
did. I
everything,
hope
man,
that.
which is
Yeah.
exactly what I wanted. Thank you very much. To
Just another thing, my boy. I'm so proud of you, man. I'm proud of you.
thank
Proud
you.
of your achievements.
Hey,
And I'm
listen,
gonna see you home in it.
listen.
Yeah. Yeah.
It ain't. It hasn't been easy, and it's not
Let me
easy
just
at
take a
all.
screenshot. Let me take a
Uh,
screenshot. I got
I wanna. It has not been easy at all,
you. Yeah.
and we still putting one foot in front of the other because we gotta keep moving.
Yeah.
We gotta keep moving,
Yeah.
otherwise
Absolutely.
we're gonna have problems.
Yeah.
One
Yeah.
thing I'll say is that I'll never stop.
Yeah.
I'll always keep on moving.
That's it.
That's one thing that I learned from a very young age, growing up from
Yeah.
uh, family, both sides of the family, is that never stop, always keep
Yeah.
moving.
Yeah.
Things might come up that want to derail you. Sometimes you
Yeah.
might
Yeah.
get derailed, but just know how to get yourself back on track.
That's it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
well,
Yeah.
so that's
And
what
that's
I'm
what it's
saying.
about. That's what it's about. No,
Yeah,
well
well.
put.
So thank you very
We'll see
much.
you
Thank
soon,
you very
brother.
much. Listen, hey, this is a good catch up. And
Yeah, man. Thank you for hosting me, man. Thank you.
we need to catch up. Just two,
Yeah,
two,
man.
two,
Oh,
two, two,
yeah, yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah. I think we need to
two
bring a few
gentlemen
people from
coming
France.
from actually more parties, humble backgrounds, just catching up. Yeah, well.
That's it, boy. No,
And
thank you for this. Thank you for tonight. Hopefully a few people that are in here, we're gonna get to introduce them to our South Coast.
uh,
But that's it.
standard. All I'm going to say, thank you for the people that joined in. Thank you for watching. Bazuthi Nabantu. Yeah, well. I hope everyone has a good evening. Have a good week. Enjoy the rest of your week. All right.
Cheers, boy.
Cheers.